Hello students. Today we are going to cover subtraction property of equality. In the last section we covered the addition property of equality, and these two are similar. The only difference is with the additive property of equality, we are adding, and when we are working with the subtraction property of equality, we are subtracting. To look at similar examples from the last video, we had done 5 equals 5, just to get a simple understanding of some sort of equation. If I subtract 1 from 5, I get 4. If I do not use my rule and subtract on both sides of the equation, it would look something like this. 4 equals 5. And we know that's not true. 4 does not equal 5. 4 equals 4. So, if we take the same principle, we subtract 1 from one side of the equation. Put a line through that. We need to subtract on both sides. So 5 minus 1 is 4, and 5 minus 1 is 4. We know that 4 equals 4, so that pans out. So now we need to see an example that's not just numbers. Okay, now we're going to look at an example. This equation, we're using the variable b. So some number b plus 2 equals 5. Again, we could look at this and easily solve, but we need to understand the mechanics for why we have these properties. So we're going to apply them. I want to isolate the variable. I need to get b by itself. And to do that, I have to do the opposite of what is happening to it. Right now, we are adding 2. The opposite of adding 2 is subtracting 2. And this is part of our subtraction property, so you know you're going to have to subtract. If we do something to one side of the equation, we have to do it to the other side. 2 minus 2 is just 0, so those cancel out. The b is going to drop down. We did not do anything to our variable. And 5 minus 2 is 3. So our final answer is b equals 3. As always, you need to make sure that you are checking your work. So we will check our work by first rewriting the equation. B plus 2 equals 5. We now know that b is equal to 3. That's the answer that we've come to. So wherever I see b, I'm going to rewrite it with a 3 instead. So if I did this correctly, 3 plus 2 should equal 5. And it does. So we checked our work. We know that that is the correct answer. Here is our second example. And I wanted to show you this example because where the variable is. Our variable k is usually, in all the examples we've seen so far, on the left side of the equal sign. And now we see it on the right side. I want to let you know it does not matter which side the variable is on for these problems, as long as you are isolating the variable. As long as it's by itself, it does not matter which side of the equal sign it's on. I'm going to put a line through our equal sign so we know that if we do something on one side, we need to do it on the other side as well. So we need to do the opposite of what's happening to k. We are adding 3 to k. The opposite of adding 3 is subtracting 3. If I do it on one side, I have to do it on the other side. Three minus 3 is 0. That gets canceled out. haven't done anything to our variable, so that just drops down. Let me rewrite it. Now I have negative number, and I'm getting more negative. When you are subtracting from a negative number, you know your answer has to be negative. I've noticed that a lot of people get confused when we subtract from a negative number because we've been taught this rule: when you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. That is multiplication. If you subtract from a negative number, negative such as -3 minus 3, it does not make the number positive. In fact, you have a negative number. We're starting at -3 right here. And that number you are subtracting 3 from. You are getting more negative. You are going in the negative direction 3 times. So when you subtract 3 from -3, you will get -6. Our final answer is k equals -6, but our work is not quite finished. Check your work. Rewrite the equation from the beginning. -3 equals k plus 3. Wherever we see k, we need to write a -6 instead. So -3 should be equal to -6 plus 3. If we look at our timeline and we start at -6, we add 3, 1, 2, 3, we get -3. And since we know that -3 equals -3, you know you did that work right.